Another big deciding factor is going to be dynamic versus condenser microphones. Real quick overview of those, just to keep it as simple as possible. Two different types of capsule. A dynamic is generally considered to be less sensitive, and a condenser is generally considered to be more sensitive. Dynamics are they are more rugged. Condensers are more fragile. So if you go to any live event, concert, speech, there's a really good chance that the microphones used there are going to be dynamic, because there's a good chance that when you're setting up all these mics, when you're moving gear around, something's going to get dropped. So if you've got your $100 dynamic microphone that you drop, that you can then pick up and then keep recording with, versus a $500 condenser that you drop and now you're out of microphone, it's a pretty obvious choice to go with your more rugged microphone. There have been some really fun, cool, like torture tests of the Shure SM58, which is a legendary microphone where people have run it over with a car, they've chucked it into the ocean, they've like set it on fire, and they take that mic, they plug it in, and it sounds almost like new. So there's some really, really durable dynamic mics out there. Now, obviously, you want to treat all your gear well, but dynamics are generally also a little bit tougher than your condensers. Now, a condenser is a more sensitive microphone, and that's a pro and a con depending on your environment. If you're in a pretty noisy environment and you have a more sensitive microphone, the more sensitive microphone is going to pick up more noise. On the flip side, it's also going to pick up more of your voice. So a condenser generally, this is a big, a condenser generally can sound better because it picks up more. Now, that's a bit of an overstatement because, again, there's a lot of microphones out there. It can be situation dependent. But condenser's more sensitive. You'll generally see most of the microphones in a mic closet in a studio are condensers. There are still a lot of dynamic microphones in that cabinet, but a studio is also a really well-treated, very quiet environment.
Right.
So that's kind of the quick crash course. So if you have a quiet recording environment, a condenser could be a good option. And I see that on a lot of articles online where they say, don't even think about a condenser, because they're already operating under the assumption that the environment that you're recording in is super loud and noisy. Now, again, the office I'm in, we're next to a road, so this window is going to let in some traffic noise. I probably wouldn't want to use a condenser for this room. But if you have access to a fairly quiet room, a condenser can be a really good option. Now, a dynamic is also a really, really good option. They can be a little darker, a little bit kind of more mellow of a sound. Some people like that, some people dislike that. So that will be those two things to consider: dynamic versus condenser and USB versus XLR. Those are going to be the big decisions you're going to have to make when it comes to your microphone.
And next time doesn't have to be next week. Life's too short, and we have way too much to talk about. Find show notes full of takeaways, lessons, and links at creatingthegreatestshow.com. For more information on launching your own podcast or working with us to produce your existing show, come on down to the big tent at ringmaster.com. Until then, friends, whatever you do, do it with all your might. Work at it, if necessary, early and late, in season and out of season, not leaving a stone unturned and never deferring for a single hour that which can be done just as well now. P.T. Barnum.